Today I'm gonna expose why Fortnite made $6 billion in 2025 and still laid off over 1,000 of the people who actually built the game you love. But before we get there, I'm breaking down 5 more reasons why Epic Games is in the darkest spiral of their entire existence, from a system Epic themselves built that's bleeding them dry from the inside, to the promise Tim Sweeney broke not once, but twice in less than 3 years. Stay with me, this is a top 6. Epic built a system to share the money, and that same system is quietly killing Fortnite from the inside. In just 3 years, Epic Games has paid out $722 million to UEFN Creative Mode maps, meaning nearly $750 million has gone to outside creators instead of being reinvested into the main game that millions of players actually care about. And the most unhinged part? 40% of everything you spend on skins goes into a shared pot that gets split across all modes regardless of quality. The most cooked part? Low-effort AI-generated slot maps are pulling in nearly $60,000 a day through this system. Epic is hemorrhaging massive amounts of cash through a system they designed, approved, and never figured out how to control. Your money, the loyal players' money, funding AI garbage while the main game creators. Did you even know your V-Bucks were going there? Top 5. Epic cooked up a secret plan to get themselves kicked off phones, and the community paid the price. Epic Games didn't get kicked off the App Store by accident, they engineered a fully calculated plan to break Apple and Google's rules, get banned from both stores, and sue them. A strategy years in the making that they executed in 2020 knowing exactly what would happen. They eventually won the legal battle after 5 years in court, but at an absolutely brutal cost in money and in players. The most brutal part? Fortnite desperately needed that mobile player base because active player counts have been on a consistent downward trend year after year. Epic won the lawsuit but lost years of mobile growth at the most critical moment in their history. And the billions burned on 5 years of litigation never went back into the game that generated the money in the first place. Were you a mobile player before the ban hit? Top 4. Epic has a dark pattern and it's impossible to ignore. Buy a successful game, drain its team, and let it die. Rocket League was one of the most popular games on the planet when Epic acquired it. Massive community, incredibly bright future. Same story with Rocket Racing and Fortnite Festival, projects Epic hyped to the max and then abandoned overnight. In March 2026, the entire teams behind these modes got erased without warning. The most wild part? It's a cycle so predictable it's almost impressive. Epic acquires a successful game, pulls staff to redirect them elsewhere, the game starts flopping from neglect, and then Epic uses that failure as the excuse to cut even more people. A downward spiral completely caused by their own decisions, and not a single person in leadership has ever been held accountable for any of it. Were you a Rocket League or Rocket Racing player? Top 3. Epic hiked prices right when the most players were quitting and the community absolutely lost it. Right before Chapter 6 Season 2, Epic Games made one of the most brain-dead decisions in their entire history, raising V-Buck prices across multiple regions at the exact moment the game was bleeding players at an accelerated rate. The logic was completely backwards. If you have fewer players, you charge more from the few who stuck around. The most NPC part? This triggered a massive community boycott during Season 2 that accomplished absolutely nothing because Epic never walked it back. The most loyal players, the ones who've been here since Chapter 1, the ones who've dropped hundreds of dollars over the years, are now paying more for a game that's at its lowest point in years. The textbook definition of punishing your own community for your own mistakes. Did you participate in the Season 2 boycott? Top 2. Tim Sweeney promised stability in 2023. In 2026 he broke that promise with double the layoffs. In September 2023, Epic cut 830 people and Tim Sweeney publicly promised that the brutal move would permanently stabilize the company. The year before those layoffs, Epic had literally claimed they could spend billions for decades without breaking a sweat. 2 promises, 2 lies. 2 times employees paid the price for it. The most tragic part? In less than 3 years, Epic has now laid off over 2,000 people total, and not a single person in the leadership team has lost their job. The executives who greenlit the failed metaverse experiment, the ones who burned billions on lawsuits, the ones who designed the UEFN system that's bleeding money, all of them still have their seats. The failure is entirely theirs, but the people who built the game are the ones paying for it. Do you think Sweeney should step down? And now, the darkest reason of them all. Top 1. Here's why the 1,000 plus layoffs in March 2026 aren't just a numbers problem, this is the end of an era for Fortnite. In March 2026, Epic Games laid off over 1,000 employees in one shot, including the complete teams behind entire game modes. the map design department, and the live events you've watched this year. Among the people let go, the employee whose literal job was to press the button that activates every live event, the creator of replay mode, the photographer responsible for the most iconic image in the game's entire history. Real people, real stories. The darkest part of all? There are employees who lost their jobs days before their kids were born. Others got cut right after paying massive medical bills that wiped out their savings. And all of this happened while Fortnite was generating $6 billion in 2025 and while investors like Disney and Lego had poured hundreds of millions into the company. The money existed. The decision not to use it to protect those employees was completely deliberate. And the most unhinged thing of all? The next Fortnite OG season runs directly on code built by the workers who just got fired. Epic laid off the exact people they need for their next big launch. That's not a mistake. That's a fully self-inflicted disaster. Those were the 6 reasons why Fortnite is in its worst moment ever: a money system that bleeds itself dry, billion-dollar lawsuits, abandoned modes, price hikes on the most loyal players, and 2,000 layoffs in 3 years while not a single exec faces any consequences. Do you think Fortnite can actually recover from all of this? Or is it already too late? Drop it in the comments, smash that like, and use code OLREY in the item shop. See you on the island.